Hello everybody and Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Day 2024. In my household, the celebrations and the food and festivities and everything are all at an end. It is Michigan, it is snowy and cold outside, and my thoughts turn to other things such as, wow, am I going to need to change the oil in my car before the temperature goes back up in the spring? Oh, I hope I don't, because I really don't want to lay on my back in 20-degree weather in my garage and have to change my oil. It's almost worth running the car until it's really hot and scalding myself just so I got a little bit of heat changing the oil. But that does lead me to my next question. I have a 2015 Volvo S60 with a 2-liter turbocharged engine. Very meaty engine. You don't want to use lower quality components in this car for the most part, because it's that turbo engine. You want to make sure you take good care of it, otherwise those things don't tend to last as long. So the oil filter, I usually stock up 3 or 4 oil filters at a time, so that I've always got one available, so I don't have to go searching for one or forget that I have one, and as soon as I use them all up, I'll order another set of them. I usually order the Volvo branded filters for this because it's an OE part and is supposed to be the best quality, quote unquote, that you can get for your car. But these are $18.25 each. Now this car uses a canister style oil filter. I believe that's what those are called, where you spin off the housing and the housing stays with the car. All you do is there's a filter element inside the housing, the guts of it, you pop that out, pop in a new filter element into your housing, and you're done. Well, with one exception, there's the housing doesn't spin on with a little tiny connector in the center like your spin-on oil filters. The entire outside of the housing goes up into a receiving spot on the block, so the actual housing itself, or canister, has an O-ring that goes on the outside of it to help seal against that, and a good quality filter kit is going to come with a new O-ring. All of the ones that I got here in front of me do come with a new O-ring, so that is the only real major difference in them. When I was looking for alternate branded filters, of course, I went to the same place everybody goes, Rock Auto. They do have quite a few options, some of your Frams and things like that you can find at a local store, and you don't have to pay shipping for it. But there are some brands out there, one of them being Mailey, or Mail, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I call it Mailey, so that's what I'm going to call it here, which is a European brand that I really like typically. I've had good luck with them on other types of things in the past, especially air filters or cabin filters. But there was one brand that no matter which car type I searched for, my Volvo, my oldest daughter's Volvo, my other daughter's Escape, my youngest daughter's Toyota Matrix, one brand that kept coming up as being pretty much the least expensive brand on Rock Auto. And I don't know if it's a Rock Auto exclusive or not, but I got to thinking, are these things any good or not? Some of these can be hidden gems. Some of them can be real stinkers. Let's find out. It is the FVP brand. These are distributed by FMP in Eagan, Minnesota. Manufactured to ISO certifications. It says it is a premium oil filter, but they are a huge amount cheaper than the Volvo filters. So let's take a look at these 3 brands here, OE, high-end, quote-unquote, and cheapo, and see what's the difference. What kind of quality difference do we have? Is there a difference? And then we'll look at the prices of them and see what we think of as far as prices go too. So let's hop to that. So Here are the three that I have. The Volvo OE filter, the Melee, which is supposed to be a high-end part, and the FVP, which is the underdog, I guess, your cheapo. But does that mean it's no good? Let's take a look at the Volvo and see what we get. All of these come with an O-ring for your canister, and in this particular case, there's a little drain plug on the canister itself that I never bother with because I think it's pretty much useless. That has its own O-ring. All of these come with that. The OE part or kit does have a crush washer for your oil drain plug, which I don't really care if it has it or not. It's a nice addition, but I buy bulk on these. You can get like 20 of these for $2, so it's not really that big of a deal, which the 20 pack that I've got will pretty much last the life of the car. So not too worried about that. That's nice though. It's nice that it's included for those that don't hoard them like I do. So let's look at the quality of this. Has nice looking pleats, nice dense material, good looking. Looks like it has high filter quality. Good construction, has tabs. This is the top, made in Tunisia. This has tabs to keep it from wobbling around in the canister. As it connects to the block up here, there is an O-ring that helps seal it. I believe the oil comes into into the canister itself, the body of the canister, passes through the filter element from this side, and then comes back into the engine from the center back up through here. So it's nice that this has a nice sealing surface with an O-ring in there to create a good seal, so all your pressure is being put back up into the engine and therefore into your oil galleys for your engine and stuff like that. The bottom of this has these little clips here that help keep it in the cartridge, and to seal it to the cartridge so that there's no escape of pressure or anything like that, there's an O-ring on the inside that helps seal this bottom to the cartridge itself, so that oil coming in and trying to go through this filter can't just push its way up in through here. It's sealed through this O-ring. Has to go through the filter element and then come out this back into the engine. So I like that construction. Does the Melee stack up? Filter element, nice, stiff, looks like to be a high grade, high density, thin, really thin, but really dense. But I get up here and there's some differences that I'm not real fond of. It doesn't have these locating tabs, which I'm not too concerned about. If it clips in down here and it goes in up here into the block, then it's not really necessary. The tabs just keep it from wobbling around as you're putting it in so that you don't miss. But, you know, if it clips in and sits in, I don't really know that that's 100% necessary. But it just has a ridge here instead of an O-ring. And I don't know what the clearance is once this gets put in, and I'm not real crazy about it. It just, to me, that kind of irks me. I don't like it. But when I get on the bottom, this I dislike even more. I mean, I suppose it would work. This seals to the canister with this little like a filter material here. So if oil did try to get around, like if these got clogged and it absolutely had to push its way in here, it would just flow through the filter element material and still work, I guess. I don't like it. I think it was a cheap way out. I know maybe it works well, but I'm just not so crazy about it. This is made in Austria. I verified this number was for that car too. I was wondering about that just being in the wrong box at first, but it is not. Other than, I mean, the differences are these tabs. It's cheaper to make it without the tabs, so they cheaped out there. Without the O-rings, it's cheaper to make it, so they cheaped out there. And for the price of this, it is cheaper than this one by a good bit, but I think they could have done better. I really do. I'm not crazy about that. FVP part. What do we got here for the cheapo? The filter looks really nice. It is pretty dense. These are thicker pleats too. There's not as many of them. There's a few less. We'll get into that in a second. But these are thick. They look like they would filter out really good. And the filter material looks really nice. They have the locating tabs. The top part here looks really good. It has that O-ring. It's nice, supple rubber. Doesn't feel hard or anything. And on the bottom, same thing here. They have the locating pieces that clip it in and an O-ring on the inside. And if you look at the Volvo, that's the same way. There's these little rings on the inside with that little cross piece right in the middle of it, so that you can't crush the filter. It's not going to crush in on itself as it gets wet. And this, if you look, honestly, if you set these side by side and look internally and everything, except for the filter media, this part, the plastic parts, all look dang near identical. I mean identical. It's so close. And the difference in pleats is not that much. This has 53 pleats. This has 63 pleats. And this has 59 pleats. So from the Volvo part to the FVP, if we consider one pleat is 1/2 inch on a side, so 1 inch per pleat, you're missing about 6 inches of filter material by, what is this, about 3 inches tall, we'll say. So 18 square inches, is that it? Of filter material. But this is thicker. So, I mean, does the thickness make a difference? If you're just doing light duty, just, your normal driving back and forth to the grocery store, no heavy duty use or anything like that, I think this is more than adequate. It says it's a premium oil filter. If you go look online, it will say these are designed for the light duty use, people that do change their oil filter every 3,000 miles or so, probably 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Which I do 4,000 mile oil changes on this. It says 10,000 according to the car. I never go that on a turbocharged car. And because of the nature of these turbocharged engines on this particular year model wanting to use a little bit of oil, I always go 4,000 miles. I think that's more than adequate. So I like that best of all. I think that's the highest quality. That, I have to say, is awfully darn close. I don't like that one. Sorry, Maylee, but I really just don't, and I don't think I'll be using that in my car. Sorry. As far as prices go, big difference. Volvo, I get those online on Amazon for $18.25 each, which I consider a decent price, but not killer price. That's pretty high. The Maylee are $9.88 each. But I have to factor in shipping. Rock Auto's shipping on this was $8.98, and I think they charge about the same price no matter how many parts you order. So we're just going to assume that that's the case. So if I order 2 of them with shipping, it's $14.37 each. So they are cheaper. 3 of them, $12.87. So it would be a lot cheaper to go with the Maylee versus the Volvo. I just don't like these Maylee. FVP though. $3.34 for one of these filters. Look at that. $3.34. And you put them next to each other. That's, wow. $3.34, $18.25. And I get 6 more pleats and a crush ring. Really? That's insane. Wow. That's a game changer. So if I order 1 of those, even with shipping, I'm almost $5 cheaper. If I order a couple of them, $7.83, and if I order 3 at a time, $6.33. So I could get 3 of those FVP for just a little bit more than 1 of the Volvo branded. And I also looked locally to see what would happen if I bought locally and I didn't have to pay shipping. O'Reilly has a Wix filter for $18.99. My AutoZone has an STP, which I consider an entry or low-end filter, kind of like the FVP, I suppose, for $11.49. So I'm, you know, right there, beats everything else. Wow. Just wow. I have to say, looking at this, feeling the filter material, looking at the construction, comparing the insides of them and seeing that internally they are, I mean, good gosh, as I look down the center of these things, they look identical inside. I would not be surprised if this stuff right here, these plastic pieces, were made in the same factory. Although it says it doesn't. This one was made in Tunisia. The other said it was made in South Korea, which is generally also really good quality stuff. So maybe one was copied from this one or something. I don't know. But I'm going to have to consider this. This FVP filter looks really nice. And I think I would definitely use this. So next time I put a filter in my car, I'm going to put one of these in and see how it looks. And I'll probably take it apart after I get through with my oil change and look at the pleats and see if they broke down anyway or deteriorated or degraded or anything. Because with the factory Volvo, when I take it out, it pretty much feels the same as this, just wet with oil. So I'm curious to see how this works too. And I'm betting it's going to be pretty darn good. I think I might have found a replacement filter. But is this going to be the same for every car out there? I don't think so. The FVP part was available for pretty much every car, mainstream car that I looked at. You might be able to find like a high-end Mercedes or an Aston Martin or something like that you can't get that FVP part for. I'm just talking about your mainstream car that we can go down to a used car lot and pick up. No, it's not going to be the same because you can get some good filters locally when you talk about the spin-on oil filters. So keep an eye out for my next video on that. We have some spin-on oil filters where I'll compare the FVP for a 2004 Toyota Matrix. It's a 1.8 liter 1ZZ Toyota engine that's dang near bulletproof. And we'll also compare that to a Meili version of the spin-on filter that you can get from Rock Auto, and compare that to a couple that you can get your Fram and your Walmart SuperTech products that you can get locally at a Walmart. What are the price differences and quality differences with those? So stay tuned for that. But for right now, I think this is one heck of a good deal for a canister filter for my Volvo, and I think I'm going to be buying this. I've got this one. I'll try it. If it does not meet up to my expectations, I will post something about that. Otherwise, I'm going to consider this a home run. That's awesome. $6.33 compared to $18.25. I'll take that every day. And if I order 4 of these, that's going to drop that down even more. 4 of them at $3.34 plus $9 shipping. That's probably going to be somewhere close to $5 each. That's a pretty good deal. So there we have it. FVP. Is it any good so far? Yeah, I like it. Stay tuned for more, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Merry Christmas.